Hello, this is Tip Top Gaming here today with another MTG Arena video. Now today's video, I'm going to be going over how I did on the Play Any Card, Win Every Card event. Well, I'll just give you a spoiler, I didn't go 12-0, I would have made a video like instantly talking about that. However, I did think it'd be interesting to show you guys how I did, so this footage is sped up like 500%, so you guys can overall just see how I did and how the Simic food or Simic ramp deck kind of performed. So in this first game, I'm going up against a Rakdos kind of like, I don't know, Rakdos Rush kind of deck, and so I start off really strong with Oko and manage to get my first win. Then I go on to my second game. So I'm going, as of this time, I'm 0-1. I have a really good opening hand, which puts me on course to cast Oko turn 2, which I then get to do. I create a food, and yeah. He then gets to cast his second Once Upon a Time, so he's delaying things. Now, Mono Green was a challenge for this deck. Now, what I do is I take his Pelt Collector in exchange for the food, which ends up probably not being the best idea, but it works out. I end up getting my Nissa out, very similar to the original game, so I'm doing very, very well here. But then he gets this, and to protect my Planeswalkers, I chump block with a land, which I will end up hurting me later on. So I'm basically casting this, I'm doing this, and I'm fighting that. Now, that wasn't the smartest of ideas. I could have done that a little more efficiently, but it was fine. He then plays this card, which has protection from blue, and that kind of stinks. Now, that makes him fully immune to Oko's abilities, so I can't do anything about this 5-4. Now, I'm at 19 life, so it's not that big of a deal. Now, here's something I don't realize, and if I did realize this, because, again, these cards are very new to me, I didn't realize Oko could turn artifacts into the 3/3 Elks, like, that he can do that. I knew that he could do that because he does it with food. I just didn't think to do it to my opponent's artifacts, which is kind of a really dumb mistake on my part. If I would have thought about it, I would have been done a lot better, but he ends up conceding. It seems to be another one of the Rakdos decks. He starts off really strong, however, I also get Oko out early, which seems to be a common theme. He swings with this one thing. I know he's going to block. Basically, at this point, it's just protect Oko until I get the Wicked Wolf, which then is able to kill the guy while he has no mana, so it's an easy kill. At this point, Robber the Rich is kind of annoying, but I have less cards than him, so it literally does nothing. It's just a 2-2. So then he concedes again, because he realizes I'm going to beat him. So you'll notice a theme in this video that I do really well against Rush decks, and I believe he's playing Mono Green, and you'll notice that I'm just going to tell you now, this is where my first defeat comes in, and that's partially due to me not realizing Oko's full potential, but, you know, I start very controlling, I'm controlling his side of the board, you know, I'm doing pretty well, although at this point I have Hydras and not that much mana, so it's kind of annoying. However, I believe I do just end up paying for a Hydra here, and I end up realizing that, you know, I'm doing well. He's at 10 life, and I am like that. But then he gets this 6/6 protection from multicolored, and there's not much I can do. He has reach, so he's blocking my 3/3. This thing kind of stops combat. And then, of course, he gets the Great Henge out, which, of course, accelerates him so hard that he keeps getting his gas. He doesn't, like, unlike a lot of games where you can run out of gas, he does not. He just keeps getting it. Now, I get Oko, which is technically the answer to my problem, but I can't do anything about the Great Henge. At least that's what I thought at the time. Of course, I could have +1'd and gotten rid of it and just made it a 3/3. Now, those snakes have protection from multicolored, and they use counters, so Oko is very useless. Of course, he swings with those, and I decide to block, and it takes me down to 2 life. And so at this point, I'm feeling pretty desperate. Those things have trample, and so I bring out Oko, and now I should probably have turned that into an Elk, but I instead make a food, deciding that I can sack it for health. So that might have ended up being the best idea. He then gets another creature. He needs to draw more cards. He has so much more value than me. So at this point, it's obviously a losing battle. So now, you know, he's getting to draw cards. He's putting counters on everything, and he gets a Ronus out that doubles everything. And then I realize that protection from multicolored means that my Krasis can't block. Now, hindsight's 2020, I should have turned the Hydroid Krasis into a 3/3 Elk, which would have not only boosted up its stats, but also made it not multicolor. Either way, now I'm facing up against Rakdos aggro again. He starts with a 1-2 pretty strong play. I have my Druid. This game I'm not starting with Oko, however I do get a Wicked Wolf, which allows me to trade with the 1-2 because he was able to stomp it. Overall, this game ends up being a lot closer. It looks like he's winning, but if you notice, he's already out of cards. So at this point, he's top decking. Now, he is top decking good cards. I'm already at 7, but then this is where I start to kind of take it back. I have a 3-3, so of course, what I'm gonna block and try to get rid of his army because at this point, am doing better in terms of card draw than him. And so now he's only 3 cards ahead of me, or 3 life ahead of me. So it's not that crazy. And we're kind of at an even playing field, except I have a Nissa and a bunch of creatures, so on and so forth. Now, he does get this Hydra, which, I mean, I would have played it, but he concedes because he realizes that I've outvalued him and I can win. So you'll notice a lot of these guys end up conceding because they realize, oh, he's just so far ahead. So here I start with Skyland, and then I pull an Oko, which means turn 3 I get to drop down an Oko, which is always very powerful. Now, I decide to create a food with it. Now, I believe that he attacks with me, so he's not worried about Oko, which honestly can be both terrifying and awesome. Now, Oko can generate a lot of loyalty on himself fairly quickly, so it's sometimes nice for them to waste their time with Oko. But apparently Nissa is a big enough threat for them to start targeting everything, so of course I calculate my blocks, I figure out what I want to do, and he of course makes me do like everything. So we sack creatures, draw cards, discard stuff, so a lot of things ends up being dead. But then, you know what I do? I decide, hey, I'm going to give you my guy, and I get a Holo Rankle, which of course was the biggest thing on the field at the time. Now, I could have waited a turn, created a food, and done all that, but I didn't want to risk Oko not being able to do that, so I figured giving him a 0-3 wasn't that bad, especially saying that I was able to then kill it with a 3-3 later, and now I have control over Rankle and his mischief. Even one of the nice things about that is even if I don't attack with him and don't get the benefits from him, my opponent doesn't either. He also technically hits for 4 if I make him draw a card, so he's basically dead in 2 turns. And yeah, here you can really see Oko being very powerful, you know, removing that 3-2 Midnight Reaper and turning it, basically, it gave it 1 more toughness but lost its abilities. So you can really see the power of all the cards in here. Now, we go into our next game, and of course, I get Oko as one of my first cards, which is always going to be good, and he's playing a form of Gruul aggro, and this deck is infuriating. So he plays a 3-3. Now, I create food, and now, of course, he's going to attack with his 3-3. Wait, now it's a 4-4, because he just played Domri's Ambush. Okay, I'm sure he only has 1 of those. So now I have 2 blockers, and let's see what happens. Oh, he has another one. Now it's a 5-5. And then I decide, you know what? I'm going to play Nissa and get out of land. I'm sure he doesn't have another Domri's Charge or Ambush. No, not at all. So at this point, he has played so many of those. He's now shocked him, so now he's really hurting my Planeswalkers, but if you notice, he hasn't actually attacked me, so it's not that big of a deal. That guy would have been a lot bigger last turn, but as you notice, I did that trick here where I put I turned my Hydroid Crisis into a 3-3, which technically boosts it by 3 power. However, it does ground it and makes it lose trample. So it's not always a good thing to do. It's not like, oh, I should always do this. But in that situation, I need something to deal with his guys, so that worked out really well. He attacks with both these guys. I sacrifice food to give him indestructible, yada, yada, yada. And at this point, Oko doesn't really matter to me anymore because I have another Oko. So he can spend as much time as he wants trying to kill it. And I'm just going to keep having Okos as he has Domri's. So he attacks me to try and get the card draw. It doesn't really work. And so what do? I get the Hydra, which is kind of my win here. So what I decide to do, I believe, is I decide to double the counters on it. And then I turn my food into a creature to kill Domri and attack. Now, he is a 2-2, and I have a 12-13 with trample. So it looks like I'm going to win here, especially when he doesn't draw anything. Now, he draws this Hydra, which then he can play for 6, and that gives him another turn. Now, I can't do anything about it with Oko because it's counters, but then as soon as I play Nissa, he concedes as he realizes I have won. Oh my gosh, this is like, I feel like I'm auctioning stuff. I'm talking really fast. Okay, so we play Gilded Goose. Now we're playing against Mono Green, which we've seen be able to outvalue me. Now he does this, he gets to take out my Gilded Goose, and now he gets to attack with Oko, or attack Oko. I have a decent defense line, and he gets to play Lovestruck Beach, which is kind of terrifying. Now, I make the dumb mistake of turning it into a 3-3. At the time, he couldn't attack with it, but then I made him be able to attack with it, so that did give him more attack power. So I think the fear of having a 5-5 just suddenly coming at me was kind of terrifying, but I think the smarter decision would have been to either create a food or turn something else into a 3-3. Either way, I pull another Oko, he's dead, I create the food, and you notice, wow, he has a lot of stuff. I realize that he can just kill me next turn, even after that, so I decide to concede, and that ends up ending it. Now, I end up with these 4 cards and the card sleeve, and that's how I ended it. I wish I would have gotten better cards, but honestly, it was a fun experience overall. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it useful in some way or another. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment down below telling me how you did in this event, and I'll see you guys in the next one.